Welcome to the Leadership Roundtable, a podcast with Dr. Conway Edwards, where our goal is to help you increase your leadership capacity. Let's get ready for today's episode. Welcome to the Leadership Roundtable, a podcast with Dr. Conway Edwards, where we get together every month and talk about how we can expand our leadership capacity. We want to encourage you to go to our webpage, visit 1cc.com/leadership roundtable, where you'll be able to follow along and grab the handouts and show notes that we have. Thank you again for joining us. Dr. Conway Edwards, how are you doing today? We got some good stuff.
I'm doing excited. I cannot wait. This is one of my favorite podcasts of the year. The late Colin Powell said that every great leader must develop the ability to look around the corner. And so how, as a leader, can you develop the art of trying to predict, trying to determine what might be around the corner, and how do you prepare and ready yourself, your organization, your team for what might be coming around that corner in 2026 and 2027.
Wow.
So come with it. Let's go. Favorite one, disruptive trends. We're going to give them how many today? 10?
10
10 disruptive trends for black and brown churches. I think this is going to be epic. Can't wait.
Yeah, let's jump right in. You're going to see all this in the show notes. You'll be able to follow along. But trend number one, again, these are disruptive trends. Trend number one is churches will be evaluated by usefulness, not just inspiration.
Yes, sir. The idea here simply is, how are you helping the people that come through your church doors? How are you helping them handle all of life better? Yes, we want to be inspired. Yes, we want to be reminded of how great God is, and that our joy cannot be complete unless it's rooted in Him. That's a fact. However, this generation and the generation behind them wants to also know how do I handle different things in life, and how do I authentically do so? And so usefulness becomes very important. In other words, what are you giving people to handle all the difficulties of life? What kind of tools are you preparing them for? We know some things are coming around the pike, like we know a lot of job loss is going to be happening next year and the year after. How do we preparing people for that? And so, Andy, give me a couple things that we've done as a church to try to get ready for that, to try to prepare for that. What do you got?
We have some of the things that we've been doing here. And again, this is our attempt at just putting tools in people's hands. So even as much as this past December, we did a series where we talked about worship, but we gave a tool that said, here's 5 ways to win the day. Affirmations, declarations that people at church can read every single day when they wake up. Here's another one, reminders of who you are. Talk about how you threw this on the pastors, and we didn't even know what you were going to do to encourage our church to memorize these.
Yeah. So what we try to do here is we're in a series on 1 John. We called it Prove It. We're walking through the book, each chapter at a time, all 5 chapters in the book. And while we went through it, we identified the fact that oftentimes people don't know how to love like John was encouraging us to love, because they have an orphan spirit. And they have an orphan spirit because they don't know to love like God loves, and they don't know who they are. And so we decided to give everybody a reminder of who they are, and gave them 21 different characteristics of who God called them. And so we simply put a Bible verse with each one of them, and then asked everybody to memorize it. And whoever memorized it, then they would get their choice of hanging out with one of our pastors. Why? Because we wanted people to know who God said that they were and currently are, and therefore we wanted them to live that out in their daily lives. And so it was a great challenge for our body to simply study the Word of God. So each one, so for example, the one I'm looking at here says transformed, and the verse was 2 Corinthians 3:18. And so they had to go home and study. Anybody who could study all 21 in 7 days would be able to get to go with one of the pastors and their wives. It was great challenge. We loved it, and it was extraordinarily helpful. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to address what we have deemed and what we have called this concept of an orphan spirit that prevents people from loving because they've never seen it from a physical father. And so we use the tool to help them overcome this orphan spirit so that they can be who God's called them to be. It was extraordinarily helpful, and our church really appreciated it, and all our members really appreciated identifying one of the things that was preventing them from loving their enemies, from loving people who are ideologically different, thinks differently than them, politically different than them, and so it was very helpful.
Yeah, and this is all we're trying to do is figure out how do we help people that come to our church put this into practice. So we had a father-son retreat. There's a Just Me and Dad journal where it talks about how are we the same, how are we different, what was growing up like for you, tools to put in their hands. We also have a workbook, Creating a Vision for Your Family, where a husband and a wife can go through and plan out all the aspects of their relational lives together, their spiritual, their relational, their recreational, all these aspects of growing together. And what we're trying to do is be useful so that church isn't just where you come get hyped up on Sunday and then figure it out the rest of the week, but we put a tool in your hand so that you can put this into practice.
Yeah, here's another one we did, 5 ways to win the day. And so we had everybody put it as a wallpaper on their phone, and it was, I was going through the Psalm 34, and so we came up with it. It says, I will bless the Lord at all times. 5 things you say every morning, right when you get out of bed. I will bless the Lord at all times. I will boast in the Lord. I magnify God, not my problems. I seek God, and he hears me. I trust God for today's provision. And so it was simply one of these tools that we gave to people. They scanned the QR code on the bottom, put it on their phone, and as soon as they get out of bed, we're giving them a tool so that it's useful for them the very next day.
Yeah.
They take the sermon, they take the series, and they live it out in their everyday lives. I think to prepare people for what's coming around the corner, we better give them some tools that they can, very practical tools that they can start using right now in the midst of the challenges that they face.
Now, that's number 1 out of our top 10.
Yeah, but I want to go through some of this because churches should redefine success. We argue here it's formation plus equipping equals success. In other words, it's formation that's discipleship, formation that's heart transformation, the formation that's being completely satisfied in Christ. That's the formation aspect. And then the equipping theologically. That's why we have our equipping center, but also equipping practically with things that they can use for them, for the kids, and for their students every single day of their lives. That's what we're trying to get to, so that Christ is most glorified in their lives because they're fully satisfied in him.
That's good.
Hopefully that helps.
That's good. That's number 1. We're going to roll through the top 10 of these. Number 2 is economic displacement will become personal, not theoretical. AI-driven job loss will no longer feel abstract. It will begin to hit trusted volunteers, staff spouses, business owners, long-tenured professionals who never imagined needing to retool.
Yep, I think this is coming down the pike, and I think it will disrupt churches. It will disrupt you financially. It will disrupt you with volunteerism. It will disrupt every aspect of your life. I think we're going to have to prepare for how we can help families in the future go through difficult seasons. I think, and we're trying to see if we can raise some money to prepare for what this president or what our current president calls the big, beautiful bill. And the problem with that is, so a lot of people are now going to be not insured. And if you're not insured, then the church has to come alongside them and figure out how do we help and provide for the underinsured or the people who are not insured when physical ailments show up in their lives. And I think it's our job to make sure we're anticipating that and getting ready for that. We're doing that right now with this clinic. Pastor Matt, why don't you talk a little bit about our True Care clinic that we're trying to get done? And it's not fully up and running yet, but we're taking baby steps to make sure that the physicians in our church, the nurses in our church, the PAs in our church are using their gifts to help people that are not very well insured. Talk to us about that, Andy.
Yeah, that's just something that's been it's been a vision of ours for quite a while. And it's at our Louisville campus. And in Louisville, we have the True Care Clinic right now. They meet once a month. And what they do is they open up the campus, and we have volunteers who are all kind of professionals, doctors, nurses, surgeons. You need administrative. Anybody who's in the healthcare field can help out in a ministry like this.
Yep.
So they're volunteering their time and resources. And then what we do is for that full day on a Saturday, people who are uninsured or uninsured or underinsured can come and receive care, even dental care as well. So that's an opportunity to give back, and it takes a lot of planning. It takes resources, but it's a practical way where churches can fill a need where people don't have to always look to government for help, but church can step in and be the one to fill that need and to shine for Jesus.
That's a big deal, man. Career development is another area where you're going to have to prepare people to switch careers potentially. You're going to have to create environments where they can do interviewing skills, where they can do it, portfolio creation, resume rebuilding, networking opportunities. Matt, tell them about our quarterly business luncheon that we do to create environments where people can get to know each other and do some networking. What are you thinking?
Yeah, so quarterly business luncheon is something that we're doing for about 2 years, where every quarter we have a Thursday lunchtime business luncheon. We'll bring in a speaker from a business or entrepreneur who's extremely successful that a lot of people know. And part of it is the inspiration and the equipping of that speaker talking to our business professionals and CEOs and C-suite leaders. But the other part is for them to be in a room with 300 or 400 other leaders at their church that they can connect with and build relationships, people who are doing kind of the same thing that they're doing in different fields.
Yeah, and that's a huge one. And again, because of the uncertainty of the future, we've got to be able to lead ahead and facilitate partnerships, relationships that people don't even know they're going to need in the future, but they got to start developing them now. And then the last one that we try to do to look around the corner a little bit, first time ever we're going to do this, we're going to do a 21-day AI challenge. And again, the idea here is how do we retool the current generation to prepare them for their future. And we believe we should not just care for people's spiritual lives, but we should also care about their professional lives as well and create a pathways for them to run down. So we're going to do an on-demand 21-day AI challenge where we introduce a new AI tool that they can use every single day for 21 days at the beginning of the year. You can do the beginning of your next year whenever you're listening to this. And all we're trying to get done is to equip them so that they know what all these AI tools are, how they can help them, and how they can stay ahead of the game. Because as soon as you learn this 21, there's going to be another 21 that you have to learn. But if you've missed this 21, now you've got to learn, here we go, 42 different AI tools that you got to use. So we're just trying to, it's free. We're doing it for free. All the AI professionals around here are using and developing their tools, and they're going to teach them for about 40 minutes, and then they're going to give them all the resources they need. We're just trying to get people equipped for the uncertainty that's coming in the future, and we believe it should be the church's job to lead the pathway in this particular area. So again, going back to number one, so that we're providing useful tools, meaningful tools that are helpful for the body of Christ.
Wow, that's good. That's number two.
All right.
Number two. Let's go to number three. The number three disruptive trend is that giving education will be critical. And that means that churches, we need to make sure we're teaching what the Bible says about giving, because there's a shift in the generations right now. The baby boomers in our churches are the ones who are really carrying the weight of giving. And you'll see in the show notes that it takes 3.4 millennials to match the giving of one baby boomer. That means it takes three of them to give the same amount that one baby boomer gives. Now, in church world, that means if you have one full service of baby boomers and they give, that means you need to have 3.5 services full of millennials to match the giving of the one service of baby boomers. And it gets, the younger they get, the worse it gets. For Gen Z, it's 10-1.
Yep. And so what it means is, when you're thinking about planning for the future, when you're thinking about adding to your facility, when you're thinking about maintenance responsibilities that you're going to have to keep your facilities fresh and up to date, now you've got to factor in the fact that as we lose the boomers, then it's not going to be as easy to raise money. So two big things in light of that. One, we got to train the next generation in stewardship, and we got to train them without being negative. We've got to train them the responsibility of what all healthy believers do. Since God is a giver, all of us should be a giver. And the number one sin of our culture is greed. And we're being greedy because we're holding on to our money. And the only way to counteract greed is to give. But we've got to train them so that they can see that. Another thing we have to do is we have to keep going younger and younger. In other words, we've got to let the next generation in our elementary and in our middle school and the high school areas give them opportunities to give and teach giving there, so that we don't wait till they're 45 to then tell them that they need to start giving when their whole lives they have not. So I think we've got to invest in the training and developing the next generation so that we fix this problem long term and not just patch it up with the two generations, which is the millennials and the Gen Z.
That's right
after. We've got to go even before those guys and see how can we help them become good stewards of the resources God has given them. This is huge. It manages how many staff people you can have. It manages how you maintain your building. It manages whether or not you can have new campuses. It affects the whole capital campaign venture that you go down. It really does affect a lot. And it's our job to help the next generation realize that the generation before them handed it off real good. They can't drop the ball with their generosity. They can't drop the ball with their stewardship.
That's right. That's good. That's giving education is critical.
It really is.
Number 4 is flexible, multi-purpose facility needs. It says in our notes, modern congregations are prioritizing adaptable spaces that can shift seamlessly from worship to ministry to education and outreach activities on the weekdays.
I think this one is so very huge. One of the calls that God has given our church and all churches, I believe, is that you should be a lighthouse to that community. In other words, that community should see you as a beacon in that community and not a hindrance to that community. We're already not paying taxes, which is an absolute blessing. We don't even know how long that will last, by the way, but we're already not paying taxes. So the next question we have to ask and answer is, how do we utilize these facilities not just on Sunday, but every day of the week? How do we create environments where people in the community just want to come? And so one of our strategies moving forward in the years to come is to figure out how all our churches can become event centers where people can have access to them. In the one we're doing in the city of McKinney right now, we're adding pickleball courts, we're adding basketball courts, volleyball courts, so that people can use it from the community, can come in if they want to play an indoor sports, if it's raining outside and they can't play anywhere else, that they can use it. We're also trying to figure out how can we create spaces so that teams can use the facilities as well. So maybe it's a volleyball team needing a place to go. How can we have them use it? Maybe it's a soccer team that needs it. Maybe it's a basketball team. How do we create spaces for people so that they're not just using the church on Sundays, but we're using it every day of the week? And that they view the church not as that's not for me, but that's a place I can go to, which is why we're changing generally to event centers that have a church on Sunday as opposed to a church that nobody goes to during the week except for 1 or 2 hours on a Sunday morning. We think it's vital, and we think we have to find ways in which we can do that. The last thing we do is we now want to see, since everybody's trying to take Sunday over, we're trying to figure out how do we go where they're taking our kids. So whether it's a soccer team, we now have a whole soccer team that goes into the different cities and plays in their leagues and represent Christ there. We now have a cheer team, so young girls who want to be cheerleaders but don't have the long blonde hair to twirl around, now they see other girls like themselves and they can boost their confidence there. We think that's vital. And so we have different teams that enter into competitions all across the Metroplex, because we think that since they won't come to church, we can take church to them. Come on through here, somebody.
That's good. So we're making the churches flexible. You'll see in the notes things to think through, ways to think about what we've talked about, but you want to figure out how is church and not just what we know church as, but how is it loving the community. Number 5.
Well, before you go there, I also think you need to think through. One of my friends Pastor Jeff Jones wrote a book called Rebranding Christianity.
Yes.
I'd highly recommend it to you, by the way. And I think Jeff's concept is that oftentimes we get into the political realm, and the world now see us as either right-leaning or left-leaning, depending on whether you're a black church or a white church or a Hispanic church. And that's not who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be known. The number one brand is love. That everybody should know that they will know we are Christians by our love for one another and by our love for those who hate us. And so if you're going to think through that, then you got to ask, how do they view the church when they drive by? And if all they see it as, oh, yeah, there goes those people who either they want your money or are making you vote one way, then that's not what Jesus Christ left us here to be, the light of the world. He left us here so that we can be a beacon that people that are hurting will want to be a part of. And so one of the ways we try to create these environments is through sports, because we know that the NIL money is getting so big. Parents are pouring resources into their kids and looking for environments to simply allow their kids to get better in athletics. We're trying to get them better in athletics and in their spiritual development.
Yeah. And in his book, and what you see at Jeff Jones' church, they took a student building that was their church student building and rebranded it. It's still where their students meet, but it's not called the student building. It's got something that looks appealing to the community, and they turned the front of it into a coffee shop and pickleball courts and a playground and just a light to the community where people want to come and hang out. It's
huge, man.
It's big. Number 5. AI is moving from pilot to production. It's going from the testing phase to the big time phase. It's going from using AI as Google to using AI to actually accomplish functions.
Yeah, and this one is going to be a game changer for all of us. And the reason is because it's no longer you're just searching for something. It's actually now going to produce things. And if we don't get on the head of this, then we're going to first of all not be efficient in what we do. We're going to be ineffective because we're still trying to do it the old-fashioned way, as opposed to lean into AI. Obviously not trusting it fully. Obviously, you have to have a system by which your church works with AI so that everybody's on the same page. You've got to figure out, how do we make sure people are not just copy and pasting from AI without editing, all that. You've got to do all that, and I get it. However, to not lean into the production side of this and simply using it like your I can't believe I'm going to say this, like your 70-year-old grandma or mom, is going to make you over time ineffective, and you're going to be left behind. And so what we're trying to figure out is, in every ministry area, how do we leverage this so that we're using it in a healthy, God-honoring way, and it is making our work more effective and more efficient for the glory of God. Andy, what do you got?
Yeah, and we're just exploring who on our team is good at this. What we have experts in our church that we don't even know that can help with this, and how can we encourage? We've had competitions on our staff as to who can create AI tools, and figuring out how can we work through this, because like Pastor said, it would be like hundreds of years ago if, when the printing press was created, we all said, you know what, that's evil. We don't need all of that. But the church in the Bible became the most reproduced and purchased and used book because of the printing press, because of the technology of that day. It's the same thing now. AI is not God. It's not what's going to save us, but it is the way of today, and we need to learn that technology and leverage it.
And in light of that, we have to also remember, and this is an addendum to this one, which is the thing AI cannot do better than us is they don't know how to connect relationally, which is why small groups will become so much more important in the future. And that's why no matter how fearful you are of other people getting more authority than you, you've got to be able to create smaller pockets of people so that they can connect relationally, because it's going to be a byproduct. It's already one. Or the next generation is watching screens more than ever before and are more lonely than they ever been before. But this is where community groups in your student ministry, kids ministry, adult ministry, young adult ministry, seasoned saints ministry becomes absolutely vital to avoid the ramifications of us going more production related with AI as opposed to just a co-pilot.
Yeah, that's good. Now, I'm excited to hear what you're going to say about number 6. Skills-based hiring over credentials. And it talks about how companies are going to start hiring over demonstrated skills and potential over pedigree. And it says the trend is expanding talent pools while enabling faster productivity, with 90% of employers reporting better hiring decisions when focusing on the skills rather than the degrees. Talk about that. What does that look like for you? Because you love to dive into this, looking for leadership trajectory and looking for capacity. And that's not what the regular world has always been doing.
Yeah, well, if you're looking at somebody and you're trying to discern their leadership trajectory, where they're going to end up, what's the potential behind this individual, you've got to look at things like how many people they've led in the past. You got to look at things, and not just on their professional realm, but anywhere in their lives. Some people have led in the past. You got to look at the complexity of problems they can solve. So somebody comes in and you say, man, if you had 1,000 people to lead and you just got the job, well, how would you do it? I just want you to hear me. I just want to hear you think through what would be the first thing you do, second thing you do, third thing you do, just to manage 1,000 people, or just to manage 100 people? How would you go about doing it? Or, hey man, you're trying to grow a church from 100 to 300. How do you go about doing it in the next 3 years? And I just want to hear what they have to say. Why? Because it is their cognitive ability to take big problems, break them down into smaller sizes, and then come up with a process to solve it. That really tells you whether or not somebody can do it. Yeah. My concern with guys coming out of seminary now is they're so good at being critical with the text that they take that same criticism with people, with institutions, and with organizations. And now all that does is slow you down, and it does not create a healthy relational environment for people to grow. And so I always seek to understand somebody's teachability, somebody's adaptability, somebody's flexibility, because there's a lot of stuff I can teach them. There's a lot of stuff our staff can teach people, but you can't teach character. You either have it or you don't, or you're heading in that direction. And you can't fully teach an entrepreneurial spirit. Either somebody's got it or they don't. You can get better, but if it's innate to who you are, if that's a gift God's given you, it makes it unique. So all I'm trying to suggest here is that's why we do our internship program now. We get asked kids to spend a year with us before they go off to college, and we just get to evaluate how they're doing. We get to see their potential before we invest a lot of resources in them. It's been game-changing, single-handedly one of the key factors that the Lord has used to get us the right people on the bus and in the right seats, because we get to watch them for a year before we invest heavily in them as well.
Yeah, and this aligns with gift-based ministry. You'll see this in the notes. That's what we're all doing, is trying to mine out what God's called someone to do, help them discover their purpose and run in it, and equip them to do that, and then apprentice them through that. Now, we're going to hop into number...
I just think we need to stop right here, and we need to do the rest in the next episode. Let's get a little teaser out for that. Yeah, just take a little deep breath. We got 3 more. We really got about 16 of these. In the show notes, we only have 10, but we got some more. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do the first 6, and then next month we should come back with another 6.
We can do
just
that.
to keep you listening and to make sure you are coming to climb 2026. You don't want to miss it. It's epic. It's almost so. Actually, it's not. It's the main campus is sold out. We have another campus in McKinney about 8 minutes away that's not sold out. We're going to flip some of our communicators from one campus to the next so you can experience what it's like to have a multi-site experience as well. We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
If you're a pastor and you're looking to grow, I promise you don't want to miss this. No. It will be a blessing to you, money back guaranteed. It will be a blessing to you because we just love investing in other pastors and helping the Church of Jesus Christ get stronger, get healthier, and go further as fast as they can get there, as our friend Andy Stanley would say.
Yeah, climb-conference.com. And if you're listening to this after January, still go to the webpage. You can purchase the replay and relive it all.
That's good.
Yes. You can see everybody who was here. It's going to be a really great time.
You bet.
It's our favorite time of the
year.
So
next month, we'll give you 6 more what we call disruptive trends that we think you have to get ready for if you're going to take advantage of the opportunity that's in front of us. We're excited for you. We can't wait to see what God's going to do in your ministry next year, and we eagerly look forward to partnering with you in any way we can. By the way, if you want to be a part of our Climb Coaching Network, all you've got to do is email us at that same address, and we can get that done for you. I think it will be extraordinarily helpful. Yeah. We probably have 5 or so slots left for this next year. We'll try to guide about 80 pastors at a time through or 1 year coaching experience. I think it will be helpful for you. So if you've never been a part of it, now's the time to sign up for it.
Now, before you hop off, first of all, thank you, Pastor Conway, for sharing with us today. And I want to encourage you to download the resources. Visit 1cc.com/leadership roundtable and download these resources, then go through this with your team. Yeah. And then we want to know how this has impacted you. So if you could go leave a review, maybe talk about which one of these has impacted you the most, that you're most excited to tackle in this upcoming year. That'd be a blessing as you share this with others. Thank you again for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next month, where we'll continue what we started today.
Love you guys.
Thank you so much for joining the podcast today. It has been an honor to have you here with us. Now, just want to remind you that all of the resources we talked about today are available online at visit1cc.com/leadership roundtable. Now, if this has been helpful, leave us a review, go out there and hit subscribe, and more importantly, share this with your team so that everybody can grow. We can't wait to see you next time.